I'm a 34-year-old woman, and 8 years ago, after my mom passed away, I moved back to our small family farm to help my dad keep things going. My younger brother, he's 31, lives 2 states away with his wife and 3 kids. He works a city job and only manages to visit once or twice a year. He's never really had any involvement with the farm. Since moving back, I've basically taken over the day-to-day running of everything. It's a modest farm, not exactly a moneymaker. Most years, we're lucky if we break even just enough to cover property taxes and keep things afloat, mostly for my dad's sake. He still helps when he can, and I know it gives him a sense of purpose after losing mom. But the majority of the physical work and all the management? That's all fallen on me. I do it all: feeding animals, planting and harvesting crops, repairing equipment, handling all the financial records and paperwork. And that's on top of working part-time in town just to earn some actual money, since the farm itself doesn't really pay me anything. So yeah, I've been living and working on this farm essentially for free, simply because someone had to step up. Now here's where it gets hard. My dad recently mentioned he's redoing his will, and he plans to leave the farm to my brother. His reasoning? My brother has a wife and kids to think about, while I'm single and can take care of myself. Basically, because I don't have children and my brother does, my dad believes my brother needs the inheritance more. I didn't want to explode on him, but I did ask if he was actually serious. I said something like, "What about all the years I've put into this place?" He got a little defensive and said it's not about counting favors, that families help each other because they care, not because they expect anything back. He brushed off my concerns like I was being petty for even bringing it up. He told me he believes I'll be just fine on my own because I'm capable. That stung more than I expected. I've sacrificed nearly a decade of my life to keep this farm alive. I put everything on hold to move back here and support him. Meanwhile, my brother hasn't lifted a finger to help, not because he's some villain, but because his life just went in a different direction. Still, it hurts to hear that all my work might mean nothing, that this farm could go to someone who never showed interest in it, simply because he has kids. It honestly feels like a slap in the face. I'm not chasing money, this farm doesn't make much. It's about the principle. If my brother inherits it, I highly doubt he'll keep it. He'll probably sell it off for the cash, since he's never expressed interest in running it. That would mean all my effort, preserving this place, improving it, keeping it alive, would be for nothing. I'd lose both my home and the work I'd built my life around, all in one go. Meanwhile, my brother walks away with the profit. I haven't had a full-on confrontation with my dad about it. The one time we discussed it, he shut it down fast, saying things like family doesn't keep score, and made me feel like I was selfish just for being hurt. I do feel guilty sometimes, like maybe I shouldn't be thinking about inheritance at all. I didn't move home expecting a reward, I did it out of love. But that doesn't make it any easier to feel this overlooked. What really bothers me is that it feels like he doesn't see my role here as worth anything, just something a daughter does out of duty. And I'm stuck feeling conflicted, frustrated, and completely unappreciated. I haven't talked to my brother about any of this either. I don't even know if he knows. So, am I wrong for being upset that my dad plans to leave the farm to my brother, even though I'm the one who's been working it this whole time? Am I being entitled, or is my frustration valid? I really need some outside perspective. Update 1: Thank you to everyone who commented. It's been about 3 weeks since my original post, and I did take your advice. I sat down with my dad and tried to talk things through. Sadly, the conversation didn't go the way I hoped. I tried to tell him how much I've put into this farm, how it hurt to hear he'd leave it to my brother, who hasn't been around. But he got uncomfortable and pretty defensive. He said I shouldn't be thinking about inheritance as some kind of payment for the work I've done. His words were something like, "We don't keep score in families. You help because you care, not because you expect something in return." He repeated the same thing: "My brother has a family to take care of, and I'm more independent, so he thinks I'll be okay." He sees this as helping the person who needs it more. When I said it felt unfair, he basically shrugged and said, "Life's not always fair, and inheritance isn't a paycheck." That shut the whole thing down. I didn't know how to keep talking about it without it blowing up into a full-on fight. I also asked if my brother even knows about any of this, and Dad said no, he hasn't mentioned the will changes to him yet. When I brought it up again, my dad acted like it wasn't a big deal. He brushed it off as nothing more than basic estate planning and told me I was overthinking it. That reaction really caught me off guard, because to me, this is a huge deal. The conversation left me feeling even more disheartened than before. It made one thing painfully clear: my dad sees all the work I've been doing on this farm as just the kind of thing a daughter naturally does for her family. Not real labor. Not something that earns any kind of stake. Just expected. Coming to terms with that realization hurt more than I thought it would. And the worst part? Nothing has changed. My dad's still set on his plan, and I'm still here, handling all the farm work like usual. But I can feel resentment creeping in. I haven't said anything to my brother yet. He's still totally unaware and lives far enough away that this isn't part of his daily world. Honestly, I don't know what my next move should be. Everything about this situation feels messed up and unfair, and talking to my dad didn't do a thing to help. I guess I might need to talk to my brother soon, but right now, I'm just feeling stuck. Update 2. So I finally talked to my brother. He and his family came out to visit for a short weekend about 2 months after my original post. While he was here, I pulled him aside for a private conversation. I told him straight up that Dad was planning to leave him the farm and the will. He looked genuinely surprised, like it was news to him. I asked him, hypothetically, what he'd do if he did inherit the farm. Would he try to manage it? Keep it going somehow? He was honest about it. Said something along the lines of, I can't just pick up and move out here. My life's in the city. The kids are in school, I've got a job. He basically admitted that he couldn't actually use the farm himself. Then he shrugged and said he'd probably end up selling it. I won't lie, hearing him say that stung, even though I kind of expected it. I told him how I've spent nearly 10 years working this land, and how upsetting it would be to see it sold off to some stranger or turned into a development. I was hoping maybe hearing my side would make him reconsider. He looked uncomfortable and said, "Yeah, I get that. It's just complicated. I'd have to think about it." And that was pretty much it. He didn't offer to turn it down. He didn't suggest I should get a share. He just seemed kind of awkward and unsure. I got the sense he didn't want to be the bad guy, but also wasn't willing to stick his neck out either. Honestly, the conversation left me feeling crushed. It confirmed what I'd been afraid of all along. If Dad follows through, the farm is going to be sold the moment it lands in my brother's hands. And that means everything I've done here, all the long days and late nights, all the maintenance, all the sacrifices, it'll all just vanish. I'm trying not to be angry at my brother. This isn't his fault, really. Dad's the one who set all of this in motion. And my brother's just being practical about his own life. But it still hurt. It made everything feel meaningless. As of now, nothing's changed. My dad still hasn't officially told my brother about the inheritance plans. So my brother's just waiting to hear it from him. And I haven't told Dad about my conversation with my brother either. The visit ended, they left, and now I'm just processing everything. I don't know how or when to bring this up with my dad. How do you casually drop, "Hey, I talked to my brother and he said he's planning to sell the farm"? That's going to be a tough conversation. But at least now I know for sure. If nothing changes, the farm is gone. That's the future I'm staring down. And it's a really painful reality to face. Update 3. It's been 4 months since all this started. And lately, I've been quietly getting ready for the possibility that I'll have to start over somewhere else, build a new life away from the farm. After reading through all the advice I got here and watching how things were going, I finally decided to take some real steps toward building a life outside of the farm. I updated my resume and started applying to jobs in the agricultural field. I haven't left yet, but I've definitely stepped back from doing any long-term planning around the farm. And I think my dad noticed. Not long ago, he confronted me. Asked why I seemed distracted lately, why I wasn't fully engaged in prepping for the upcoming season. I didn't sugarcoat it. I told him the truth, that I was exploring other options, because it's clear now that I don't have a real future here. I kept my tone calm, but I didn't backpedal. I told him I just couldn't keep pouring my time, effort, and energy into something that I'll never truly be a part of in the long run. That didn't go over well. He got really upset, emotional, even. He accused me of abandoning him. He asked me if I was seriously planning to just leave him behind in his old age, after everything we've been through. He told me that if Mom were alive, she'd be heartbroken to see me walking away like this. He made it sound like I was betraying the entire family. I stayed as calm as I could and reminded him that I'd been here for 8 years. I came back out of love for him and for the land. But I also have a right to think about my own life. I told him point blank that it's hard to keep working myself into the ground for something I know I won't ever own, especially knowing my brother already admitted he'd sell the farm the moment he inherits it. Dad just shook his head. Said something like, "You don't know that for sure. Maybe he'll change his mind when the time comes and realize what the land means to this family." It felt like denial, like he just couldn't accept the reality staring him in the face. The whole conversation spiraled. By the end of it, we were both upset. He thought I was being selfish. But from where I'm standing, he's the one who put me in this impossible position. I told him I wasn't trying to hurt him, I just want to live a life that's actually mine. I can't give everything to the farm, only to have it taken away the second he's gone. His response was cold. "I never asked you to sacrifice anything. You chose to come back. If you want to leave, then go. He said it with bitterness dripping from every word. So now we're at a standstill. He knows I'm serious about possibly leaving, and he's angry. I feel awful, too. I never wanted it to come to this. I wish he could see things from my perspective without turning it into an attack. But right now, there's no winning. If I stay, I lose. If I go, he feels abandoned. It's lose-lose. These days, we barely speak outside of what's necessary to keep the farm running. We do our chores, but there's tension in everything. I've put in a few job applications and now I'm just waiting to see if anything pans out. I haven't officially quit, but he knows I'm close. And honestly, it breaks both of our hearts in different ways. Update 4, 8 months later a lot has changed since I last posted. The biggest news? I landed a new job. About a month ago, I got an offer to manage operations at a commercial farm about 3 hours away. It's a bigger operation, and they were impressed with the experience I'd racked up running my family's farm. The pay is actually decent, with solid benefits. Honestly, it was kind of shocking after so many years of working for free. I accepted. I gave my dad a full 2-month notice. I wanted to give him as much time as possible to prepare, because I knew this would be a major shakeup for him. When I told him I was officially leaving, his reaction was totally different from before. This time, he panicked. He begged me to reconsider. Said we could come up with a solution. For the first time, he even offered to revise his will. He said he'd split the farm 50-50 between me and my brother if that would convince me to stay. I turned him down. I told him calmly that a 50-50 split isn't a real solution. All that would do is leave me at risk again. If my brother owns half, he could still force a sale or sell his share to someone else, like a developer, which would ruin the farm just the same. I asked my dad to really think about how that would play out. And I think that finally hit him. For the first time, he really seemed to get it, that his compromise wouldn't actually protect the land. He went quiet and said he needed to talk to my brother. That call was eye-opening for him. Later, he told me what was said. He asked my brother directly what he'd do if he inherited even part of the farm. And my brother didn't sugarcoat it, he flat out said he'd sell. He wasn't being mean about it, just honest. He said he didn't have the time or the desire to run a farm and that the money would be more helpful for his family. I think hearing it straight from his son is what finally made it real for my dad. I wasn't there for the call, but afterward, I saw him pacing, ranting about how we're just going to give away the family land. I think he was mad at the situation, and maybe a little at himself. Because deep down, he knew this was the outcome he set in motion. Now he's scrambling. I'm leaving in a few weeks, and he's trying to hire someone to take over the work I've been doing. But as you can probably guess, it's not easy. Skilled farm labor and management don't come cheap. He told me the other day, almost like a confession, I had no idea it would cost this much to replace what you do. Yeah. No kidding. I feel for him. I do. He's an old man, staring down the loss of both his daughter and the farm. And he's just now realizing how much I contributed, not just emotionally, but economically. He's trying to keep the place going, but I honestly don't know how long he can afford to without me. Right now, I'm packing. I'll be moving out soon to start my new job. Things between me and my dad are a bit less hostile than they were after that last fight. I think he's just too tired to keep arguing, and I think he finally sees how we ended up here. He hasn't said it directly, but I believe he knows this was largely on him. There's this unspoken sadness between us now. A kind of quiet understanding. So, to answer the question people have been asking since the beginning, no, I don't think I'm the villain here. I don't think my dad or my brother meant to hurt me. But they did. And now we're all dealing with the fallout. It's a messy, painful situation with no real winners. But I'm moving on. I'm doing what's right for me. And my dad, well, now it's on him to figure out what happens to the farm. Whether he manages to keep it running or decides to sell in the end, that's his decision now. I'm sad this is how it all turned out. But I'm hopeful. For the first time in years, I'm putting myself first. And I'm looking forward to what comes next.